We purchased an ugly old house and transformed it into a Palm Springs inspired home. But building a granny flat was always part of the plan, and now the time has arrived. My name is James Treble, an interior designer with over 30 years experience within the build and design industry. I have worked with thousands of clients on their own homes, but this time the challenge is to use all of that knowledge on a smaller footprint, creating a granny flat that's so practical and welcoming, our guests will never want to leave. Both outside and inside, our guest house is looking great. Now it's time to add those important elements that make it comfortable to live in, and it starts with the appliances. Selecting appliances for any kitchen is always an important process. Now I always base it on the size of the home, of course the style or theme that I'm putting together, and the people that are going to be living in there. This is of course a granny flat. Now it's a small home, it's only 60 square meters and the kitchen is not large. People here aren't going to be doing lots of baking and they're not going to be cooking massive meals, so 600 wide for the cooktop is a really good combination, and the oven is actually a great size. I could have gone for a wall oven, but that would have taken valuable bench space, so that's why I put it underneath in this project. They're easy to operate, which is important because many different people might be staying here over time, but they're also easy to clean and maintain. I've opted for an undermount range hood. I actually select these a lot in my projects because I love the clean look in the kitchen, and I find that canopies, though they can look really industrial and make a statement, they also require extra cleaning on the outside. This is a great setup here and I think it's super functional. As far as the finish, well, induction cooktops are black anyway, so I've decided to pair that with a black oven. It just seems to suit the space and fit really well. It's looking pretty good. Now, the kitchen is an important element in every home, but in our guest house, it's also the thing that you see the moment you enter through the door. So it has to make an immediate statement of quality, setting the stage for what's to come. I've just received my delivery from Keeler Hardware. These are the Momo handles for the kitchen. Now, they're going to be installed properly, but I can't help myself because I'm a bit excited. These are lip handles. Oh, how good do they look? The gentle contrast between the muted blue of the joinery and the greeny blue veins in the benchtop results in an elegant and attractive combination. So the addition of the joinery handles must be practical and on point. Just like the earrings of an outfit, they complete the look. The idea of this granny flat, or we're starting to call it a guest house now, is for people to come and spend time here to relax and enjoy and maybe step away from their normal lives and have a really nice chill out time with their family or friends. Because of that, I wanted to install ceiling fans to be able to circulate the air and to really energy efficiently change the space and make it feel cool and comfortable. In winter, you can reverse the flow and actually push back down that warm air that you've paid money to create. So they're so versatile. As far as the color of the timber, well, of course, I matched it with the tones in the timber flooring and make the whole space look cohesive. Now, I get asked over and over again, how do you select the perfect benchtop? It can be tricky because there's so many options out there. And then what about the splashback? Should it be tile? Should it be mirror? Should it be stone? Well, the answer is all of them can be successful, but they don't work equally well in every project. The challenge with this particular kitchen was that it's not only open plan and visible from the rest of the room, it's also visible the moment you walk through the front door. This is a 60 square meter granny flat, so it's not a large space. It's also important to be aware that when you walk in the room or you see the kitchen from the other side of the room, it's actually these surfaces that have the biggest impact rather than the bench top. My choice right from the beginning was to have the same stone on the bench top as the splashback instead of having tiles or a different texture or finish there. By minimizing the finishes, I've got one finish here and then one finish for the joinery. Now the color in this stone is quite interesting. It's got an obvious greeny undertone, but also within the stone there's some cooler elements, and that allowed me to match it with more of a blue-based color for the joinery, and I think it works really well. I had this corner situation where there's a corner here and then a return corner there. The stone mason has managed to keep the character of the stone continuing around the corner and then continuing on the inside corner. And that has elevated the whole look of my job by paying that attention to detail. It's ended up with a much more refined look, and it's really made what is quite a small, simple design kitchen into something a little bit more special. An important element in every renovation or new build is a connection to outside. And in our guest house, it's such a small footprint that creating this outdoor destination is almost like building another room, but it's an outdoor room. Granny Flat Solutions can provide many deck options for their clients when building a granny flat, but I had a particular look in mind and I knew I wanted to incorporate it with a screen wall. So I decided to project manage this outside part of our guest house myself.
Hey James, what are you doing?
I'm killing myself. This mound of sand here has to be dropped, and I'm pushing it there to try and flatten it out where there's a dip in the land, because this is where the deck's going to go with the pergola above. I'm leaving a strip off the fence for garden bed that's going to let some light in and a nice airflow. It's a good workout. And here is the timber being delivered on site to build our alfresco. Walker Brothers has been servicing the central coast of New South Wales for over 90 years, an Aussie family-owned business that strives to win the competition, offering quality products and great customer service. Because of the modest size of our bathroom, I decided to go with a very clean option for the lighting in the ceiling. I decided to go with a Clipsal product that includes a ceiling light, a heat light and an exhaust fan all in one. I also selected my light switches and power points from Clipsal as well. So as an interior designer, I love being able to have options when creating a project, to be able to select all of those little details to support the style, the theme that you're creating. The Clipsal iconic range of power points and light fittings come with different skins that click on top, but I've actually gone with the Essence range. It's white, but it's got this beautiful timber trim all the way around. It is real timber, and that allows the white to work with my skirting and architrave and the timber trim to match with my timber floors. How good does that look? Like any quality construction, our deck and pergola had to start with good foundations. Now, when it came to the size of our deck, well, I wanted to go as large as possible, but I also think that it's important to have some breadth around the deck for plants, small and large. This part of our project is actually very important to the success of our guest house. Creating an extension to the living areas as well as a connection to the gardens is key to its success. They're working now on the deck platform that's coming off the sliding glass door. So this is our new alfresco. It's exciting to see it all coming together. There's a lot of groundworks. You can see the boys now already creating the uprights and the frame. They'll then put the cross pieces of timber the other way so that the deck boards can go on top. Once they've done those, I'll actually be putting posts here in the front as well, and that's going to create the framework for my screen wall to give some privacy from the street to the alfresco area, but I still like a connection. Yes, I always knew that I wanted to build an alfresco here that had a sense of privacy, a screen wall to separate it from the front road. Now, there are important regulations to follow when you're building a permanent structure outside, and these differ from state to state. They have to do with the height of ground, the size of the deck, and the distance it is from your dwelling and other dwellings around it. Our front screen wall was something that I wanted, but Sandro was always worried about. He felt that it was going to separate the space too much and close in our alfresco, whereas I wanted it to be there to create a sense of separation and create some privacy in our alfresco from the main street. Just like I do with my clients, I had to do a little bit of conversation and a little bit of presentation to make sure he understood the concept. WeatherTech's panels are made from wood pulp and wax, that's it. No chemicals or toxic ingredients, termite free and durable. For the walls of the alfresco, I wanted a clear hint to the mid-century modern style, and after considering a wide range of profiles available, it was the fusion smooth panels that hit the mark. They provide the perfect look that I was after. The vertical grooves add character and texture, and being slightly offset, they create a very interesting and appealing effect. I included some horizontal openings to allow fresh coastal breezes to flow on through, as well as a connection to the front yard. Because the panels are large and easy to install, my beautiful decorative screen came to life in just one day. I included an access door using the same fusion boards to allow easy access from the alfresco to the front garden without having to walk through the house. I also made it almost the same thickness as the wall, allowing it to beautifully blend in, almost like it's not even there. Another delivery arrives from Walker Brothers, and this time it's our mod wood planks for the decking. This is a great product made from recycled materials, wood pulp and recycled milk bottles, and I've used it many times before. It's super easy to look after, simply with a sweep or mopping it, but it doesn't require any staining, so it's going to look like it does now for many years to come. So our brand new deck is going in. It's looking pretty good, but to just add a little bit of a detail with the mod wood boards, we've actually got the boards coming this way, and then one board is going to go right down the center, almost like a rib, and then the other longer boards will come back this way, just to create a little bit of an architectural element and really set this outdoor space off. When it comes to building or renovating, it can be quite overwhelming because there's a vast array of materials to choose from. I think it's really important to consider what they're made from and where they come from. Understanding the durability and recyclable qualities of the products that we use in our homes, as well as the waste. Materials have to be cut on site. What happens to those offcuts? As part of our granny flat construction, which is looking amazing, of course there's a certain amount of waste through the building process. And it's important to be aware of what you can do with the leftover items and recycle them. We've piled all of our metal together, ready to be picked up and recycled. The offcuts from our mod wood decking is such a great product. We're going to use these lengths down the side of the home to make a new path. Our WeatherTech sheets, well, we have a few offcuts of that as well, but it's such a great product. We're putting that aside for another job that I have in mind. And Granny Flat Solutions already have a great recycling process in place, and they actually have a team that come regularly throughout the building process and sorting through it all to make sure it all goes through the avenues for recycling. I created a very simple landscape plan for this project, and I believe in letting the professionals do their job. But when it comes time to it, I'm not afraid to roll up my sleeves and lend a hand. So this is not my normal line of work, although I do have an understanding of what I'm doing. We've got a slab right in front of the house, a very long strip footing, which is going to have the new masonry walls built in front of the house. This pad here is going to have our letterbox on top. So whilst the concrete has a fluidity, you've got to keep it moving and keep it playing, almost like icing a cake. The secret to creating any successful interior is to always look for continuity throughout the space. Especially in a small home, those little details become more prominent, such as your tapware, your accessories, the door handles, and your joinery hardware. Nice, huh? And for continuity, I use the same handle in the laundry. And I ordered an extra one because our off-the-rack vanity came with a brush brass handle that doesn't match my tapware. Now I'll have continuity throughout the whole house. When I reconfigured the original floor plan for our guest house, I knew that the laundry would now end up opening onto the living area, and if I didn't think about it correctly, it could look quite ugly. Fortunately, I don't do ugly. The laundry is one of those rooms that not many people really want to look at and spend a lot of time in, but I actually spend time in creating them because I want them to be good looking and create a nice destination for a space that we all actually have to use. I've got a beautiful bench top. I've got some timber grain that obviously picks up the colors of the floor, and the beautiful blue splashback that's sort of evoking that coastal feel and perfect for our location. Installing bifold doors was the perfect choice. The reason being, if I'd have had two standard doors, they would have opened much wider into the space. We're going to have furniture here. This is the living area. They're going to close on in and give us a beautiful flat surface, almost as if they are not there. I want them to blend away. I do need handles though, so I went for something a bit designery, a bit of a statement with these beautiful Momo handles. Now, they look sculptural, and as you can see, it's a straight line with that nice little bend, which is the handle hold. But I selected white for the finish so that they'll just blend in with the white wall. That way it's a really subtle statement. It's more of a play of texture. They're perfectly practical to open, but they're easy to walk past, you won't hit them, and they'll still blend away. So I think it's a nice design resolution to be able to work for what is a laundry opening onto a living space. Now, a hot water system is important, of course, to get hot water to wash the dishes, but this guest house will have 2 adults and maybe 2 or 3 children. They could have a shower one after the other. So we decided to go with a large hot water system. Now, this big boy from Rinnai is designed to maximize availability of hot water. It will also use up to 70% less energy than a standard hot water system. How good is that? As most of the major building works are now complete, it's time to remove the protective film from our external metal cladding. It's almost like unwrapping a present, but the difference here is that I always knew how good it was going to look. So I've been doing a little bit of cutting now to just add the dressing detail. You can see I've got that top ledge in. This flat board is to box the little holes in the wall, and you can see it's going to look pretty awesome. So they have to be nailed into place, then some no more gaps, but you can see already that it just gives that framing detail and makes it look refined and very mid-century modern. How a house sits on a block is just as important as its design and its finishes. Now, in our case, the block slopes towards the street, so we ended up with that drop edge beam. This strip of concrete sits underneath the beautiful cladding. It's almost a metre high. It's very imposing, detracting the eye from the beautiful look of our home, but I do have a solution. An important part for me of any project is how it integrates with its location with the outside. And because there's a bit of a dip in the block, we ended up with a large drop edge beam on the house. So you can see all of that concrete. I need to hide that, and to integrate it, I'm putting a raised garden bed. It's only going to be 3 blocks high, and then we're going to have a capping on top to make it nice and finished. You can see it's just basically 1 brick off the wall. So that's going to give us a nice thickness for the garden to grow and get rid of that sort of raised concrete look. It's going to integrate much better. This house is sort of a little bit of a blur between the Palm Springs and a coastal take. I can't wait to see how it comes together. I find doing odd jobs on site quite rewarding, and despite what many people might think, I'm actually pretty handy. With music on and coffee in hand, it's great to do those little jobs and watch this project come to life just as I've imagined it. When it comes to heating and cooling your home, there's a couple of things you want to look at. Firstly, you want, of course, energy efficiency. And secondly, you want something that looks good as well. In our main house, I went with a ducted air conditioning system. It meant that I could create zones, turning some on or off when I needed. But this is only a 60 square metre space. It's not very large. It was more energy efficient and cost effective to go with 1 single split system on the wall. The location in this corner means that it's blowing cool air or warm air, depending on the season, into the living area first, and then across the room into the 2 bedrooms. So we get great use of this space, and it's well located to make it really energy efficient. So it's the weekend and we're painting. It's looking fantastic because the timber work is so amazing. It's a great way to spend the weekend, very productive. All of the trades have now completed the construction component of our build, and it's time for Wally from Granny Flat Solutions to come on site for the official handover so that he can also see what we've created together.
Wow.
What do you think?
Wow. I honestly mean it, wow. I'm really blown away. This is really good, James. Today's a very, very exciting day.
It is an exciting day.
Handover day is always exciting. So I'm very proud to give you these keys.
Thank you, mate.
But I want to say, like, something which we pride ourselves on is quality, building to time frames, budgets and whatnot. We've won so many awards. We're very, very proud of what we do. And again, just very proud to be able to hand over this project to you today.
Do you know what was really good about it? I think that people underestimate the adaptability of your plans. So being able to adapt what you have as, the set Lego pieces, if you like, it allows each person to individualise it and turn it into their own. It's like a big home, but just on a small format.
And it's a good point you just raised there as well, because just customising a little doesn't mean it's going to cost more.
Correct.
It just means that we can be a bit more creative, move walls around and come up with a nicer finish and nicer product. So
I mean, looking in there, you can see that's a really good sized kitchen. Like, we've got plenty of bench space and heaps of storage. Wally and his team at Granny Flat Solutions have worked with hundreds, if not thousands of clients creating their homes. They don't just build granny flats. And he agrees with me that the cost of paint doesn't differ whether it's white or coloured. People miss this opportunity because you can add some colour and the wow factor without negatively impacting the budget. But now is the time to talk about the elephant in the room, the coloured elephant.
now, James, that door, wow, tell me a bit about it. Where did that idea come from?
Look, paint doesn't cost more money. It's the same cost whether it's white or a colour. So be a little bit adventurous and have a go.
Absolutely.
And we've added some texture. We've got some cladding on the walls, and those vertical lines with that bit of texture also add to the feeling of heights. Of course, finishing this space is going to be about furniture and styling. So if you think it looks good now, just wait, because that final layer really brings the character to life. Wally, it's been an absolute pleasure working with your whole team. We are very satisfied and extremely happy with the results, so thank you so much.
Thank you so much, and I can't wait to see when it's furnished.
Well, we're almost there. Outside, we've got to finish the landscaping, which includes the driveway and the plants. Inside, that final layer of character, the furniture and the decor, to elevate and support all of the amazing fixed finishes. In the next episode, in fact, the final episode of James Bought a Guest House, it's time for the big reveal.